talking Lightning, Bucks, Rays, USF, and a whole lot more. Your calls and prize giveaways. Join us this Saturday and every Saturday morning for the home team, 9 to 11 on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Tune in Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. for Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. That's 2 hours of great gospel music every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m., all brought to you by the Ozona Pig Restaurant in Ozona. Yes, that's every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. It's Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. Tune in on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
The caregivers around the world today. It's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned on the show where you can find help and hope. Yep, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And that voice you hear is my friend Donna Ceasare from Arden. Welcome, my friend.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show.
I'm so glad you're here. And we have Ed on the boards today. How you doing, Ed?
Greetings. About time you showed up.
Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did, yes.
Good.
Yes.
I did, cruising down the Nile River.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm telling you, though, the trip of a lifetime. For my listeners that don't know, I had the opportunity to go to Egypt. I had the opportunity to go with my daughter, who has 4 children, and even though she lives nearby, I never get to see her. So that was absolutely fabulous. And just since I'm a little girl, I'm wondering how they ever build those pyramids, and how I'm an old lady, and I'm still wondering how they build those pyramids.
I've seen so many documentaries about them, and the first thing people say is, how the heck did they build these things?
Yeah.
How? The stones are like tons, and there was some where they just, they were buried under sand and they cleaned off all the sand and everything. There were other ones that were underwater. They took them apart and brought them to higher ground and put them back together. And they say only 1% of everything has been uncovered. Wow. And people are not as interested in before because they see all this, because what are they going to do with it all?
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. But, and some things maybe better late to us, Yeah. How much do you have to interfere with all their...
Yeah, I don't know that I would want that juju. Thank you very much.
Yeah. But I did say when I was there, I got to go to this Catholic church. I almost freaked out going to this... Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus hid from the Egyptians for a few months when he was like 3 years old. And I couldn't believe, I'm standing on the same ground. So that was kind of cool. So, yeah, it was all good. And I was telling Donna before the show, my daughter was a celebrity because she has blonde hair. Yeah. Kids going on their school trips was stopping her. Can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? It's a whole different. And the airport, women on one line, men on the other line. So that was a little interesting, too.
So when you're in that area there, just like stepping back into time, like around here, you see traffic and all that stuff. Out there, you just see pyramids and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you're out there. But if you go where the hotel is on the main road,
well, of course, yeah.
The traffic is absolutely horrendous. There are no lines on the road. Ooh. And the speed limit is 70.
Oh.
And there are no cars there that don't have dents in them. All it is bing, 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 bing. And then all of a sudden there's a camel. Or a person. I mean, we were in the bus. I couldn't even look out the side window. It was crazy. I mean, real. And then one time we were on this little boat. We were going from one island to a little boat that maybe fits 15 people. Going. And they come back, and this is how they move the other boats. They just crash into each other. And push them out of the way.
Okay.
It was bizarre. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to our newest listeners. We have Judy in Clearwater, we have Becky in Tampa, and we have Terry in St. Pete. Like I always say, there's always plenty of room around the Connecting Caregivers table for more listeners, whether you listen when we're live or on YouTube or whatever. Want to let everybody know that all the videos from the conference will be going out in the next 3 days. So I'm very happy about that. And then you can watch anything you want in the conference at your leisure, whenever you want, or share with anybody you want. Next conference already is geared up for May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2025. I'm just trying to keep bringing the information to you guys. And I think next conference, we're going to have some topics that we hadn't talked about before. and a couple
good.
that need to come back. Like I need Voices of Hope for Aphasia. I need Jolene with dental.
Oh gosh,
We've never
yeah.
spoken about that in a conference.
Yep.
So I need to bring some new stuff in, which makes me really excited. And as the conferences get bigger and to LinkedIn and everything, people contact me they don't even know from
Love
different
it.
places. And that's
Love it.
really
It's good
cool.
stuff.
And it's always things too that it's always because of the experience they had caregiving. And that's why they're doing, why they wrote the book, why they invented the gadget, why they, you know what I mean?
Nice.
So that's a really cool thing. So, one of my biggest supporters is Arden Courts, and I am also one of their biggest supporters because they know how to do it. And we're going to have a little conversation about the holidays. Some of us already had some Thanksgiving, but Christmas is coming up. And I just got an email yesterday from a woman who said, I listened to your show a couple of weeks ago, Linda, and I thought that was a really good idea. And my idea is that when you have Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or whatever the heck it is, have a separate room, a quiet room for mom or dad, whoever the person is, so that they can go in there and feel their own space and maybe be comfortable and create a memory box. So when Michael, the grandson, comes in who's 16 years old that does not have a clue what to say to grandma or how to start that conversation, he can just pull a paper out of the box, say, hey, grandma, I didn't know you were a Girl Scout leader.
Yeah.
And they can have that conversation. Or grandma, I didn't know that you lived in Brooklyn or, whatever. So I'm hoping everybody takes that advice and just takes the time because, just like your caregiving experience, the holidays can be the most horrific experience of your life or it can be close to beautiful depending on how you handle it. And please remember your loved one cannot come into your world. You need to go into their world.
And communicate your expectations in advance. So if family's coming over, you may want to let them know it's a couple hours. That's it. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
Or if you cooked the turkey last year, or if you cooked the turkey and the brisket for years and years and years,
you're not the only one that can cook a turkey.
That's right. And I have a great recipe, so you can reach out to Linda and I'll give it to you.
Donna would probably even give you a turkey.
I would probably even give you a turkey. In fact, I have about 13. So if you need one, reach to Linda and you can
get a turkey.
You get a turkey. But really create that expectation that, your loved one gets tired after 2:00 in the afternoon.
Because probably some of those people have not seen them since last year.
Probably.
If they have. Maybe even longer. And maybe I think you need to have that conversation when now that mom or dad, whoever it is, can't do everything they used to do. And they may look a little different when you come to the house than they did last year.
Yeah. And then they'll see the difference. And it's going to create agitation if they're asking your loved one a bazillion questions that they can't answer. So if you just start the expectations even before your event and let them know that, dad has lost some weight or mom has lost some weight. She's not as mobile as she used to be, or,
maybe she might have trouble feeding herself.
Right. Or she may be dropping her food.
Yeah.
Let them know that in advance so that the questions don't come up during mealtime and then you have more agitation going on. An
embarrassment.
And it's a dignity issue.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. Unfortunately, I am starting at I am starting down the road. My husband is early signs. So expectations in my house have totally changed.
Yeah.
It is, we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner. However, we are going to have it at noon. And everybody is going to be going out of my house by 3:00.
Yeah.
We're done with the big Christmas Eve. Let's have all the family over and do, unwrapping the presents. That's not happening.
It's too distracting.
It's too much. It's too stressful. Not just for him.
But for you.
But for me.
Yeah.
And because I work in the environment I work in, it's not a lot of fun to have more stress at home.
And you know what? This morning on the support group, the Zoom support group, we had a woman that hasn't been there in quite a while. And there's been a lot of changes with her husband. Mm-hmm. And she was just so glad to be there to choke it out. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what it was. Choke it out, and say what you need. And we gave suggestions and people that have been through that. So please take advantage of that too, because caregivers, I want you to know that you're not alone. And caregivers die before the person they're taking care of.
1 in 5. have a major health crisis prior to their loved one.
Yeah. So we don't want to see that happen.
If you're traveling, I completely don't recommend travel at holiday time. I am transitioning a gentleman in next week because the family's going to travel over Christmas. And I talked to the wife and I'm like, this is not a good thing. He starts to wring his hands.
Yeah.
He wants to go home. If you're in a hotel somewhere or even driving down the road in a car,
right,
he could try to open that car door. Right. Then you have a whole other set of issues. So, have people come to you, break it up.
And maybe then he doesn't want to go back either.
Or maybe he doesn't want to go back.
That can be a big deal during the holidays. People want to take their loved one home to be home, and then they don't want to go back.
Right. So, just put the expectations in place and let them know that, you'll come to my house. And you don't have to have your entire family at your house at one time.
Right.
Break it up over a couple weeks.
Well, you know what somebody said, one of my caregivers said in the support group this morning, what they're doing for Christmas is they're having brunch.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, she goes, and then that night, I'll just have dinner with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just having a brunch. Brunch is easy. Everybody can bring something. You can get in and out in an hour or 2 hours or whatever. So it doesn't have to be what you always had before.
Yeah, and I'm learning that in my house is that I'm not, I did the big Thanksgiving dinner, so the big Christmas dinner is done. It's out. We're not doing it this year. No, I'm not just.
I just think it's time to pass the baton to my kids.
I think we're having dinner at your house this Christmas. What are you making for Christmas?
What are we having good?
Well, I'm telling you, that was one of the best parts about being in Egypt.
No, I hear you.
I was like, no cooking for me.
No cooking. Definitely no cooking. Or communicate over via Zoom or Skype. Or
you don't have to see person to person.
No. It's sometimes much easier just to, a short conversation over Zoom.
And like Donna said, too, it doesn't have to be on Thanksgiving.
No,
it doesn't have to be on Thanksgiving, especially if your loved one has dementia. They don't know what day of the week it is anyway. No. I mean, be honest.
And, there's a phrase coined by my executive director and my boss, and she's like, we're doing movable feasts this year. And I'm like, perfect. I didn't want to go to dinner tonight anyway.
Yeah.
Movable feast is good with me. So make it movable.
Yeah.
You can leave your Christmas decorations up all year round. That doesn't matter.
Exactly. And you don't have to have turkey. You can have whatever you want.
That's right. So
you can have whatever you want.
Those are some of the tips that I give. I mean, I just don't recommend travel at all. Travel is just at this point in stage.
Well, you know what? It's not going to be enjoyable for you. Bottom line. Bottom line, even if you do get to take your loved one and see some people, you're going to be stressed the entire time you're there.
Yeah. And I have found that conversations start, your loved one can't continue that conversation, and there's so many people talking, and then you have agitation going on, and then they get up and try and walk out of the place that you're at.
Yeah.
So
and you're like, what's the matter with Dad?
Yeah. And Dad can't handle the 10 kids that are in the house from babies to teenagers anymore.
Hey, dads that don't have any issues can't handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Be perfectly honest, as we age.
And then they have all their adult children, and every adult child has got their career going on, and they may be excited because the first of the year they're getting a promotion. And
well, you know what? Maybe it would be kind of nice, let's say, that Christmas you stay home with your loved one by yourself, and maybe the Sunday after a couple of them come.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the Sunday after, a couple of other ones come. That gives you something to look forward to. Know that you're going to see people, but you're not going to be stressed out because just a couple of them coming, and they have to bring food when they come.
Yep.
That's the deal.
Yep.
And I think, you know what? For the families, they would probably be happy about doing that too.
Because, this is, again, we're caregivers. Whether I'm at work or at home, I'm a caregiver. If I'm trying to do everything, we're again not asking people for help. And we need to not be ashamed to say, hey, I just can't do it this year. Can you bring the mashed potatoes?
Right.
Or can you bring the
If you had a new baby, you'd be able to do it because then we have a party.
Yeah, we have a big party.
But when you're aging, we don't say, oh, Dad's aging. We need to have a party and get some more things you need and chip in and help.
Yeah. And
or Dad's aging and we need to have a party now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never a bad excuse to have a party.
No.
And you know what? I want a celebration of my life before I die.
Exactly.
I want
My
it while
point.
I'm alive.
Now is the time for the party.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be everybody, and it doesn't have to have everybody in the family coming over. Break it up and reframe it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
You can still have that family experience.
Mhm.
You just don't have to have all of them out at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, movable feast. Break Thanksgiving up into 4 pieces.
Yeah.
4 different days.
Then you got 4 leftover days.
Oh, great.
That's good stuff, guys.
How many things can you do with a turkey?
Yeah.
I think I ate turkey for the first 4 days after Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay, I'm done with turkey now. I really had it.
But you don't have to do turkey. Make lasagna if you want. Make whatever the heck you want. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Really, mostly, it's supposed to be about spending time together.
Yeah. So you just take the time to unwind. Take the time, maybe one of your children watch dad while you go get a mani and pedicure.
Yeah.
Or
you just go in your bedroom and shut the door.
Or shut the door.
Scream into your pillow.
Yeah. Or sleep for an hour.
My salvating factor is sitting down to read my Bible in the bathroom, in the bathtub, in a tub of hot water. I'm a very happy little girl when that happens.
I notice your skin is very shriveled lately.
When I can get away, I'm a good, happy girl. But that's
good for everybody, because you know what? Caregivers had said to me, I thought I was doing like the bomb job and everything. And then I went to the dentist, and the dentist told me your teeth are totally ground down. Because I think I'm doing a great job, but I'm angry or I'm upset and I'm grinding my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not, because and it was just what they were saying in the support group this morning. And we put on our happy face,
and nobody can read what's really going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work just doing that.
Mm-hmm. That wears
when
you
you're
out.
exhausted. Who feels like putting on that happy face?
No, you feel like growling at people at that point. Baseball bat works well.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, those are just some recommendations. If you want more, please don't hesitate. Reach
Well,
out
let's
to
talk
us.
a little bit about respite care.
That's the other
It could
thing.
be a good time for somebody to have some respite care.
And Arden Courts, all of the Arden Courts does offer respite care. And my community will do as little as a long weekend. So we'll do Friday through Monday.
That's
wow.
a big deal.
A lot of communities are going 7 to 14 days. When you get in front of me, I'm going to recommend after I do the assessment that I think you need 14 days or I think you need a 30-day trial.
Right.
But make that phone call. Make it now because the holidays are crazy, and start setting it up. Let's see if we can help you out with, you want to travel to Tennessee to see your loved ones.
Right. You want to go to your granddaughter's wedding?
You want to get or a baby shower.
Yeah.
Start making those attempts. I mean, I'll gladly talk with you about respite stay and how we can help you with that transition.
And the more prepared you are, so maybe you don't need the respite right now, but you can still call about it and find out what it entails and what it is, and go to Arden Courts and take a tour or whatever. So when you're ready, you're ready.
A lot of times I give our families what I call the emergency letter. It's on letterhead, and I wrote the letter, and I just simply write it. It's simple. I am helping so-and-so with so-and-so. If an emergency should arise, instance, somebody ends up in the hospital.
Right.
God forbid, Florida traffic, you end up in a car accident. You need to have that letter in your glove compartment. The doctors need to have it. The hospital records need to have it. And all that letter says is, call Donna. She'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. It's easy.
When I'm working with clients on this issue, it's one of I think a very overlooked potential problem that can have disastrous results if you don't have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're the caregiver and everything's going fine and you're kind of carrying all the water. And then all of a sudden something happens to you, whether it's a car accident, slip and fall, you have your own medical issue, who knows?
Yep.
And all of a sudden your person now is flying solo.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a plan B. And whether it's that letter in your glove box, whether it's talking or registering with law enforcement and the fire department or the sheriff's office,
anybody,
just so that when that call comes or something that there's an idea of where do we go now next. And respite is great, especially if your kids are in New York.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Well, they can't handle it.
They can't just get down here in that little. What are we doing with that? So it's a great plan, and I strongly recommend that anybody that has a caregiver has a plan B.
Yeah.
Always. Even when you're talking to, say you're at the office with Sean and you're doing paperwork and you're putting that plan into place, you may want to put it in somewhere where Sean can write it down.
Absolutely.
Call
Absolutely.
so-and-so if this happens.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's such a relief, not just for you, for your whole family. You know, Maureen Willison wrote this book recently, Because I Love You, and it's just all your information in there. And I have to fill it out for my daughter. She doesn't know who my doctor is. She doesn't know who my dentist is. She doesn't know who my vet is. It's just that kind of stuff even.
How is she supposed to?
Yeah.
I mean, how is she
She
supposed
doesn't even know her own.
Well, I just learned my doctor's last name, so I mean, I had to look it up because I had to call him. I was like, what is that guy's last name again?
Yeah. But really, knowing that, I can be like telling everybody else to do this, and I'm not doing that.
Yes. Indeed.
And do I want to see my daughter stress out of her mind one day? No, not at all.
I've been there as a mother a couple years ago, and I will tell you that I had to clean out an apartment for my son, which I ended up not doing. I hired somebody to do it for me. But he did all his banking. Everything was on his phone.
Oh, no.
Guess what? It's an iPhone. Guess what? Mom's not supposed to have the password to an iPhone to a child. Guess what? There's $20,000 missing that I'll never find. So, start putting that plan in place, because that's stuff that
you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
You don't know what could be and I don't want to be, the gray cloud in the sky.
Yeah.
I want to be the bright spot, that you realize you have a plan and that your family can go.
This isn't a gray cloud thing. No, this is actually still a bright spot. Here, let me make sure that we have this. And in your subconscious, there has got to be that worry, even if you're not, referencing it.
Yeah.
What if? What if? Okay.
Yeah.
And not everybody's family has this multiple layers of support, and then the daughter and the son, and the daughter's living with the mom, and that's a rarity.
Yeah,
okay.
It is a rarity.
More often than not, mom and dad, or mom is kind of struggling. Well, not struggling, but taking care of themselves. You're
They're doing the
augmenting,
fake it dance,
but they have definite issues. Or if you are that caregiver, and it all comes on you, and if you aren't there, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So, and then I think about Arden Courts, for example, is if you have that kind of pre-programmed, there's already a relation established that you already know that person. There's already kind of a file on them. This is what we do.
It's a good introduction for your loved one to the community.
Of course, absolutely.
Just you go there for a little respite. Sometimes they go there for a little respite. They never want to go home, and the person realizes, oh, this is the best thing now.
Yeah. Or you'll come in and visit, and they're smiling. And and you can't find them, or they'll look at you and go, no, I have to go to this.
Right. and I always find it's the caregiver's issue. The loved one goes, they adjust, and the caregiver's like, what?
Yeah.
What about me?
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. We're all afraid that, oh my God, it's going to be horrible, and they're going to hate it, they're going to complain all the time. And then you show up and they're like, no, I'm fine.
See you later.
Yeah, see you later. Then you're all disappointed.
Yeah.
And as a caregiver, they're not missing you.
Yeah. And that's when you come talk to me, and we'll talk it out.
and that's when you go back to being the wife, not the caregiver.
Exactly.
Amazing. And it's
or the daughter or whatever. Now you can go and spend some time with them without having to do all the stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And not having to worry, are they safe? Not having to worry, are they safe? That's the biggest thing. People say many times, they tell me, as soon as my loved one went to a community, I started sleeping through the night. Well, yeah. Because you weren't worried about it.
You weren't worried about anything. Somebody else was going to worry about it. I tell families all the time, you are still the primary caregiver.
Yeah, always.
We are just your arms, legs, back, eyes, whatever you need us to be.
Yep.
We're the support system that you really need.
Yeah.
And it helps a whole bunch. I just had a son come visit his mother yesterday, first time in 3 weeks, because she just transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
The first 20 minutes was beautiful. And then the last 20 minutes was tough because we had to sneak him out of the building.
Yeah.
I called him when he was driving home, and he's like, I'm fine. I am not getting 25 calls from her a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it was a moment in time.
Good for him.
Good, Donna. And I'm like, good. Perfect.
Good.
So
good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
And now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners, because you know the deal. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-5600 2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
Are you getting older, or are you taking care of somebody who is? You know, getting older creates new problems you probably never imagined. One of the big ones is, how do you pay for care? Care in your home, care in an assisted living facility, or care in a nursing home. Did you know that nursing home care in our community can cost up to $12,000 per month? For the last 33 years, our offices help families access benefits, including Medicaid, VA, and PACE, to help pay for the cost of long-term care. Regardless of what your assets are or what your income is, you can qualify for these benefits. Proper planning and guidance are absolutely necessary to avoid being wiped out. Let us help. If you are in care or heading in that direction, we can help solve that problem. Take action now to obtain benefits to pay for the cost of care. Here are the 4 things that you need to do. 1, get a new power of attorney. Your old one probably isn't good enough. Get a healthcare surrogate and a living will. 3, get an estate plan that will not disqualify you from benefits. And 4, get a plan to qualify for Medicaid, PACE, or VA benefits to pay for the long-term care costs. Call us today for a free consultation, 727-539-0181, or go to flmedicaid.com and download our free book on Medicaid and planning for long-term care. I'm Sean Scott. I'm here to help.
My mom was getting older, but she was able to live pretty independently until recently. When her case manager told me she would be discharged from rehab in just a few days, I didn't know what to do. But I knew for sure that she couldn't go back living alone at home. So that's when I contacted Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. My Senior Living Concierge, Lisa, was there for me through the whole process and was a free service for us to compare in-home care options and how that cost would compare to assisted living. With Lisa's help, we found a great new home for Mom, and she is thriving. Take it from me, don't go through this journey alone.
Hi, I'm Ellie Baldwin, co-founder and president of Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. We're a free placement and concierge service for families to help compare senior living communities and find the best place for you or a loved one. Call us today at 727-314-6451 or find us online at sunwayseniorliving.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we are back. So, Sean, somebody told me they were going to call in today, but they haven't called in yet. But they did also text me their questions.
Excellent. Okay. And by the way, I got here, 10 minutes late. Donna is already up and running and everything. And I just wanted to say hi again to everybody. And, I'm here. Technically, I wasn't actually late.
He just kind of slid in. He just kind of slides in.
Slides in. We love Sean whenever Sean shows up because he's just honest.
I usually tell the way it is.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, my questions are, what happens to the money going into the irrevocable trust? Is it saved or used to pay for care? If you have a power of attorney, can that person use that power if I am still capable? And when does it come into play?
All right, let's talk about that last question.
Okay.
As an elder law attorney, I deal with a lot of issues. Well, one of the big issues that we deal with is this thing called incapacity. And what does that mean? Well, when you can't do your own thing, who's going to do it for you? And a lot of times, not being able to do your own thing isn't a black and white type of a situation. And on Monday, you were fine, and Tuesday, you weren't. We're dealing with a diagnosis, for example. You got cognitive issues. These may be coming on over time. You may be in early stages. The person is still competent, but, they're not going to be competent forever. We need to have some sort of backup plan. And that backup plan, a co-pilot for you to fly if you can't fly, is oftentimes done with a power of attorney. So the question is, when can that person act on your behalf? And the answer is very simple. As soon as you sign that document, the authority for that person to be you, again, which is what you're trying to do, is effective immediately. So there's no trigger. It's not like you have to be incapacitated for them to be able to do this. It's effective immediately.
Okay.
Okay. As a matter of fact, under Florida law, recently the law had been changed regarding power of attorneys that said that you cannot have a trigger for a power of attorney's effectiveness.
Wow.
They used to have a thing called a springing power of attorney.
Okay.
It would spring into existence upon the occurrence of the person being incapacitated. That has been specifically kind of, let's call it outlawed, but written out of the law. You cannot do that. So it's effective immediately. You compare and contrast that, though, to a healthcare surrogate, which is kind of like a medical power of attorney.
Right.
Typically, those things only kick in once it's been determined that you cannot provide that consent for your procedures. So it's kind of the opposite.
Well, I know my mom was still capable of making decisions. She just didn't want to do it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
She's like,
absolutely.
Linda, you got it now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Happens all the time. This is a matter of convenience in some cases. It's like, you handle it. I don't want to deal with it. But in order for your son or daughter or anybody to be able to act on your behalf, they have to have some piece of paper that says that they can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a power of attorney, that person has the power right away by the time they send. So what happens to the money going into the irrevocable trust? Is it saved or used to pay for care?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a difficult question because it's kind of assuming some things. So trust, when it comes to, we're talking about Medicaid a lot of times, right? And how do we become eligible for these benefits? And the benefits are important because they'll help pay for the cost of care. And they can mean the difference between losing all of and everything and or getting that care paid for. So qualifying for those benefits is important. And then looking at how much assets you have that you own is also important because that's in large part one of the things that Medicaid does to determine your eligibility. So you have to move or do something with these assets.
Right.
And there's a big thought out there that you have to put it into some sort of trust in order to qualify for benefits. That's not really true. Okay. Trusts are used all over the place. The most common ones are revocable trusts. That says irrevocable in your question. You can use an irrevocable trust as a solution to qualify for these benefits. It's a technique and a solution that I rarely use.
Okay.
But if you are using one of those and you do put it into an irrevocable trust, the answer is the money in there can be used for care, but do not have to be used for care.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, where's that can and have come in?
Well, it's that the question is does the person
like
need
what
money?
anybody can and would do, right?
Well, not necessarily. So let's say hypothetically the person's in an assisted living facility. They are on private pay. They're having to pay their own situation. They've moved some money into this irrevocable trust in anticipation of being eligible for Medicaid, but they're a little short. And so, in other words, they're a little light. They can't quite get across the gap between what they have available and what they need to pay. So then you could turn to this trust and pull money out.
Okay.
But if it's another situation, for example, this money's in this trust and the person's on Medicaid in a nursing home and Medicaid's paying all of the bill.
Right.
Well, you don't need to pull money out of the trust to pay for that because it's already being paid through the Medicaid process. So that's why I mean, it depends on the circumstances.
It depends on the circumstances.
Interesting.
It's always good to get a professional opinion. So I would call Sean.
I tell you,
come on,
talk through it.
This, we always want to take problems in our life and just put a label or a sticker on it that solves it. And it's not the same sticker for every person.
Right.
There's
but everybody needs a sticker.
But there needs to be a solution, but the solutions are so variable and unique to that individual person. Now, you've heard me say this before. I've always said that all of my clients have one thing in common. They're all different. Okay, which means you have to approach each situation as an individual circumstance. You just can't look something up on the internet and go, "Oh, I'm going to do that."
Right.
No, you wouldn't do that for your health, would you? Right?
No, you go to the dentist if your tooth is hurting.
Exactly. And Dr. Google's probably not your first or best bet.
And they're not going to be real positive on Dr. Google. No, they're going to give you the worst case scenario.
Yes. By the way, if you've ever done this, I think we all have gone to the internet and say, "Well, I don't feel good," or "I got this thing," and you start typing in the symptoms and you go to this site or that site.
Then you're more scared.
It all ends up that you're going to die.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's like, no way. No way.
Don't do it with your power of attorney's healthcare services and your trust either.
Yeah,
you should
please don't be downloading any of those documents.
Well, I think there is a site. I looked it up, and I hate to even say it, but freedurablepowerofattorney.com. Okay. I've seen the
looks like one of those flashing ads on Facebook.
Well, I've seen the documents that these sites produce. I mean, that particular site, I see them more often than you might think. And I'm cautionary words here. Don't do it, okay? Because that document is going to really hurt you in a couple of different ways. First of all, it's not going to be sufficient to solve the problem. It's not going to have the right terms and provisions in it. And most importantly, it's going to create a false sense of security that you're okay.
Yeah.
And you're not. And so when it comes time to actually use that thing, because dad, mom, son, daughter, whoever the power of attorney person, and you can't do something because the document's wrong, ooh, bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you have to access those accounts and that power of attorney is not the right one, banks aren't going to be real forgiving.
No means no. And we've had this problem. And of course, I've been doing this for 34 years. We've had the problem where, and many times actually, where the power of attorney that was drafted, either from the internet or from a lawyer who didn't know what he or she was doing, which actually does happen. And I know.
Surprise.
Come on, Ty. You can laugh. It was funny.
She goes to Cece's school with these papers every day.
Yeah, I look at them every day.
And the problem is that, you can't fix this problem once the person's lost capacity. You can't go back and fix it. And now your only solution is to go to the guardianship court.
Yeah.
Involve all of that hassle and cost and expense and time.
Not to mention the classes you have to take to
classes. Absolutely. And it's way better to have a document done correctly. How do you know? Here's a good question. How do you know that yours is okay? How do you? Well,
because you did my papers.
That's the right answer, Linda. That's the right answer because I did it. Of course, it's perfect. Okay, but assuming
you fixed my stepmother's.
I understand.
Hers was not okay.
Hers was massively broken.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. But how are you out there listening to know that this piece of paper is the right thing? Mm-hmm. And that's really hard for me to tell you how to know that. My solution is let me look at it.
Yeah.
And
let me give you a consultation.
But I don't even charge you anything to do that. Bring your document in, let me take a look at it, and I'll give you a grade, whether it's an A or an F. About 70% of the power of attorney documents that I review are fundamentally flawed. 70% failure rate.
Holy cow.
Think about if your car failed 70% of the time.
I buy a new car.
Right? Well, I have a BMW that only fails 65% of the time.
Don't want the problem. You keep it.
But yeah.
So,
all right. Someone else sent me an email. It was a whole big story, so I just wrote down a couple of notes. That she thinks her cousin, who has power of attorney over her aunt, is stealing money from her aunt.
Okay.
And her cousin, supposedly, she says, is a drug addict and blah, 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 blah. And she wants to know, what can you do?
Right. So just as a footnote, this type of problem is much rarer than you might think it is. Okay. But every now and then these things do manifest. So
and sometimes people just think it's happening and it's not.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
I think that's one thing you need to think about.
And when I'm working with qualifying my clients for Medicaid benefits, a lot of times we're working with the son or the daughter, and the son or the daughter is doing some fairly significant movements and changing of assets around, and other siblings that are not in the loop or may not like their other sibling.
Right.
That doesn't ever happen.
But kind of annoyed that they're not the one.
Exactly. And all of a sudden they're looking for reasons to do stuff. So, but let's assume everything is on the up and up here. Okay. It's a normal situation. You suspect that the power of attorney is a bad actor. So the first thing I would do in Florida would be get the adult protective services involved.
Okay.
And they're through the Department of Children and Families, Adult Protective Services involved. I think it's 1-800-96-ABUSE is the hotline for this.
Okay.
I'll say that again, 1-800-96-ABUSE.
Okay.
Goes right to the hotline, and you can initiate Adult Protective Services. These guys and gals are, I don't want to say bulldog, but boy, I tell you, they take their job very, very seriously. And they're really actually nice people when they're not doing their job.
Right, they are. I've met a few of them. Because they can sleep at night because they did a good job.
I have some of them as clients. I speak to them on an annual basis. I really, really like them. But I tell you what, they take their job extremely seriously. And that's a good point of entry to solve this. Assuming after that, the next step that you can implement is a guardianship. I know we were just talking about guardianships, but filing a petition to determine capacity can put the brakes on that power of attorney's authority immediately.
So they're just filing this petition saying that my loved one is not capable of seeing what's going on.
Yeah, they're
incapacitated. Accusing the other person of
they're
stealing.
incapacitated, and so the question is, how do you stop the power of attorney from being able to do stuff?
Right.
And the answer is, the second part of this answer is filing a petition to determine capacity and initiating a guardianship, and that will immediately lock down the power of attorney's authority to act.
Okay. But that doesn't mean that the power of attorney did anything wrong, and they can still go on from there.
Well, this is a question that the court can then. It's a kind of an emergency type situation. Put the brakes on what's going on, and then you can evaluate: is there an issue? Is there a less restrictive option than a guardianship? If a guardian needs to be appointed, the power of attorney person may be selected by the court, and it kind of gives you a venue to kind of sort these things out.
So I just had a case that it just happened. Just happened. So somebody filed for guardianship. When that happens, it does. Everything stops dead.
Correct.
In the water, nothing can be done. But then the courts are going to send out, most likely a nurse to evaluate, a couple doctors to evaluate.
Examining committee, it's called.
Yeah. They're going to send out a whole bunch of people to kind of figure out what is going on. They're going to send out, financial person to look at where the money is going and how it's being spent. They're going to request all kinds of money records. But to give you peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of pulling the guardianship card immediately, for sure. But it is the ultimate solution here. If you need to, I would usually try to find some alternative means to resolve the issue. API is and the abuse line is good. Family intervention is also good depending on the circumstance. The three siblings that
so
can be
is there
possible.
a way to do mediation without starting the guardianship type thing, Scott? And
just to see what's really happening.
Well, that's why I say it's kind of like this family intervention type of a thing, and it's like there's 4 kids and one of them's the power of attorney and they're not doing right, and the other 3 come together and say, okay, we need to talk type of thing.
Yeah,
a little come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah,
and it's so try to do things in proportion. You don't have to go right to pressing the button.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and it overwhelms your loved one. It overwhelms you. It's a lot. So,
but I think you have the conversation because I've had caregivers who have said, my sister, my whoever is spending all of mom's money and everything. And I said, you need to sit down and talk to her. Well, when her sister gave her the list of mom's expenses, she's like, I was so embarrassed. She's not taking mom's money.
Right.
She's using mom's money for mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So communication, I think, is a big key. And communication is a big key. You can always find, what's wrong is always available. The interactions and the relationships between the siblings, all these things have impact. So when you talk about mitigation or some sort of, not mitigation, but some sort of mediations, apologize. In many cases, I'm kind of playing that role in some sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that, let's get the power, let's all talk and we'll get in the conference room and let's kind of air this out because you guys can't talk to each other very well, but let me kind of work with you through this and let's get her sorted out. So those kinds of issues, those kinds of solutions, the more creative are where I would start. Mm-hmm. But if it's like, oh my God, this is going down and all that's not on the table, then API is what Adult Protective Investigator abuse line. That's the first place I'd start.
Okay.
And I've had families that have come into my office and sat down to talk with me, and that's probably the first time they've all been together in years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there has been times that I've listened, and I finally said, okay, when you guys are finished
squabbling,
I will step back in the room.
I'm going to step out for a minute, get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, but I really don't need to be in the middle of this.
Right.
Because I can't help your loved one when I'm in the middle of this.
I have been there and done that as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have to say something. I'm thinking about this. I'm going to say something about Donna. All right.
Go ahead.
It's just so rare that I have the opportunity to sit down and have these kinds of discussions and talk about things with somebody that is so attenuated to the circumstances and the nature of the situation, and that's super rare. And Donna, 100% is just She's got this. Okay. And she talks about it like she's talking about making spaghetti. Well, you got to put the raw sauce in first.
It's called 3:00 in the morning, a notebook next to the bed. It works.
It works.
And so, Donna, where can our listeners find you?
So you can reach me at, and I always like to give my cell phone because that is 24/7. Now, if you call at 3:00 in the morning and I kind of chew your head off, I apologize in advance. But my cell phone number is 727-512-9925. Again, 727-512-9925. The office number is 727-517-7800. 727-517-7800. We are there to help. And if I happen not to be available, there is somebody that you can talk to there.
Yeah, and next Friday, I'll be doing my live support group there. That is once a month. Please come. If you need some respite care for your loved one, you can have respite care during the meeting.
Yes, you can.
It might be the first time for your loved one to see what it's like. I know when David brought his wife
That
the
is
last
such
time.
a great option. Wow. Great. What a good.
Yeah, so they go in the other room, they get entertained and check out the place, and you're in.
Caregivers locked down. I can't go to a support group. Are you kidding me? I can't leave the house.
Yeah.
Well, now you can.
Now you can.
Yeah.
Now you have an option.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun. And if you think you're going to have a problem or a concern getting your caregiver to come in through the front door, you let us know in advance. I will meet you at your car.
Yeah.
They're looking at my face, not your face.
Yeah. Yeah. So take advantage of it, and hopefully I'll see you guys next Friday. But right now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week, so check them out.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
We believe the power of the human body and mind can do amazing things, and that tapping into that power, not just tricking it with a temporary disguise, is possible. Superpatch technology uses a special pattern and vibrotactile technology to help you go from feeling blah to hurrah. Now, once the Superpatch is in contact with your skin, it triggers a neutral response in the brainstem that helps you tackle your daily problems head on. Whether you're struggling with pain, balance, stress, or focus, we have a solution that might be right for you. With Superpatch's 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hi, this is Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. I started using the Liberty Patch over 3 years ago. I used to be a tripper, but since wearing a Liberty Patch, I haven't tripped once. The Liberty Patch is proven to reduce the risk of falling by up to 8 times. And as we all know, if you prevent the fall, you prevent the call. Don't wait until it's too late. Preventative solutions are the answer.
Superpatch does not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure illness. Superpatch is FDA registered. To receive 25% off your first order, go to sticktoit.info. That's sticktoit.info and learn more.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back.
So, always wanted to say that.
Yeah. So, Sean, now that the holidays are coming up, I think it's a good time that the family's around to talk about getting our documents in order and doing what we need to do.
Well, any excuse. So, whatever it takes to get you over the line there, whether it's, oh my gosh, I'm going to take care of it, whether it's a New Year's resolution that you do before New Year's, That's the good kind. So you put a deadline that I'll have this done before New Year's.
Yeah. Or you do what I do. You just tell some horror story. Say this happened to so-and-so and they didn't have their documents in order. And then people go, oh, maybe I should do that then.
I see people that have, they come to me and they're later in their lives and they're like, well, have you ever done a power of attorney before? And like, oh no. And I'm like, what? So here's the thing. I mean, these are not hard to do. I harp on them all the time. It's so super important to have this in place. You shouldn't fly solo. You should always have a co-pilot.
Yep.
The only way that you can have a co-pilot is to tell us who you want that person to be and how you want them to be able to fly. It takes less than a half hour to do.
You get to say what you want.
And you get to pick.
You get to say what you want. Because if you don't say anything, you might not have a choice in what you want.
Yeah. And don't go to the internet, please. It doesn't cost you that much money to do a power of attorney.
No.
It doesn't take that much time. It should be done by somebody competent.
Yeah.
I know somebody.
That gives a free consultation.
Yeah, absolutely. Come in, we take a look at this, and you're in and out less than an hour of time. So,
and what's your office number?
727-539-0181.
Or if you want to see Sean today, he'll be at the Largo Library at 2:30.
If you can get there by 2:30.
They could if they're right around the corner.
Well,
you never know.
Every month, what we do, I have a passion about this. Actually, every month for the last 34 years, I have done a presentation at our local libraries, Palm Harbor, Seminole, and Largo are the ones we're doing now, where you can come in. It's in a very easy environment. It's at the library. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yep.
You roll in, you can hear me talk, you can ask questions.
Yeah.
And it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
And actually, don't tell anybody, but you'll get a free book.
Yeah.
That I wrote
that book
when
is
you
so
come
fabulous.
when you come to the seminar.
Yeah. And that book is so fabulous. So please do that. Take advantage of what we're offering. Take advantage of everything that Connecting Caregivers is offering, support groups, workshops, even one-on-one. If you have a question, you can call me. If I don't have the answer, I'll find somebody that does have the answer for you. So tune in next week for another fabulous show. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.
All right.
All righty.